Okay, everyone, I think we're just about to get started with this presentation. We're just going to play a quick video clip before we get started so you get an idea of the destination we're just about to discuss.
The colors, the marine life, the variety of shipwrecks, the history. Mind-blowing. I was mind-blown from day one until now.
I can truly say this is one you cannot miss if you love shipwreck diving.
I was really impressed by the fact that virtually whatever level of diver you are, be you advanced open water recreational diver or extremely tech-oriented and experienced, you can find plenty of opportunity for wreck diving here.
Visit dirtydozenexpeditions.com to sign up, and we really hope to see you soon.
Okay, everyone, welcome and thank you so much for coming to our presentation, which is about Truk Lagoon. My name is Aron Arngrimsson.
And I am Jose from Shearwater.
And together, Dirty Dozen Expeditions and Shearwater Research is running a trip to Truk Lagoon in 2027. So whether you're interested in coming on this trip in particular, or you just want to learn more about the destination, we're going to be covering it all. So, yeah. Like I said, my name is Aron. Where's Waldo? I'm right here. And I own Dirty Dozen Expeditions. We run open circuit tech and rebreather trips to Truk Lagoon, Bikini Atoll, Palau, Solomons, and Galapagos. So yeah, really some bucket list destinations. We do this kind of end-to-end logistics curation for people doing these bucket list trips, and a real great community of people over the years. Really enjoyed it.
I am Jose from Shearwater. So Shearwater pretty much manufactures the best dive computers in the world, Rebreather controllers and electronics in general. And thank you, Aron. It's amazing.
So talking about Truk, where is it? For those that don't know, Truk Lagoon is in Micronesia. And the reference I usually give people, if you're American, you're in the Americas and you're traveling, you would be probably going from Hawaii on United's wonderful island hopper to get there. So it's like a bus. It does like all these little stops until it finally gets to Truk Lagoon. If you're going from Europe or from Asia, you're kind of coming from Guam and going on the same plane, but in the opposite direction. Regardless where you're going from in the world, it's a long adventure. It takes 30 to 40 hours just to get there. But trust me, it's worth it. And that's why it's worth it. I had the privilege and the blessing to live in Truk for an entire year once. And it's like living in Jurassic Park. I mean, look at these mountains. You can wake up in the morning, look to your left, and there's a rainstorm. And to your right, the sun is shining, and there's fog over here. Like all climates in all directions. Beautiful, warm weather, great visibility, water temperatures, 82 Fahrenheit, year-round. and obviously one of the most concentrated areas of war wrecks on the planet. Yeah. But behind this amazing nature is a lot of history. So if you look at this picture, this is Etten Island. And, compared to these mountainous areas next to it, this is completely flat. Now, why is that? That's because there used to be an air base on it during World War II, where the Imperial Japanese Navy had a whole base in Truk Lagoon, often considered, the Gibraltar of the Pacific. So you can obviously see the man-made, they took the mountain down completely. But, ultimately 80 years later, nature reclaimed the area. I really love this image because it says a lot. Over there in the corner, you can see the liveaboard vessel. So that's a current photo. But we stitched in an old photo from Operation Hailstone. And this is in the 4th Fleet anchorage. And this is basically where attack bomber drops a bomb into a passenger cargo vessel called Ikoku Maru, which is 10,000 tons. And he drops it into one of the forward holds of the ship. And in the moment that happens, 5,000 tons of steel evaporate. Half of the vessel is completely dust. And the stern section, which is completely intact, with 1,000 people on board, which perish immediately, sinks down to 200 feet of water. And that's kind of Truk Lagoon to me. It was a war zone. It's a war grave today. There's a lot of history behind it. But to be honest with you, I can give you a quick summary. Task Force 58 was there. Lots of aircraft carriers, battleships, destroyers, with 500 airplanes in a 48-hour coordinated attack that ultimately sank 50 vessels in the lagoon and destroyed 250 airplanes. I have a really nice video. I don't know if you remember Jacques Cousteau's series, but he did an episode called Lagoon of Lost Ships. And I think he just describes Operation Hailstone perfectly. So a little 2-minute video for you guys to get into the history part of it.
Truk, a tropical atoll on the eastern tip of the Caroline Islands. Its lagoon a burial ground for a vast fleet of ships. Entering the sheltered bay, Philippe Cousteau and his team from Calypso are confronted by a ghostly display. Oxidized mementos of war, now symbols of waste. Tragic testimony that a battle was fought here. The rusted residue of Truk's violent past. During World War II, Truk was home base for the combined fleet of the Japanese Imperial Navy. From the beginning of the war, its buildup was fast and efficient. Truk was the center of Japan's defense perimeter, not only the main staging area for its fleet, but also an important airbase. It was called the Gibraltar of the Pacific, and it was considered the strongest naval base in this part of the world since Pearl Harbor. Most of the fortifications were built for defense against a landing from the sea, but the Allied decision was to neutralize Truk by a concentrated air attack. On the morning of February 16th, 1944, the first strike. 70 American fighter planes. Initial objective, the airfields. .275 aircraft are destroyed before they can take off. Japanese air defense is quickly paralyzed. Next, the main targets, the ships anchored in Truk Lagoon. The Japanese command has ordered its warships to safer waters. Delayed by bad weather and trapped at anchor are more than 30 vessels, the pride of Japan's auxiliary fleet. In 2 days, the lagoon is transformed from a naval fortress to a ship's graveyard.
So yeah, it's a pretty good summary of Operation Hailstone. What do you think, Jose?
Wow, that's amazing. It's incredible. So what do you think it makes such an incredible dive destination? What's special about Truk?
Oh my God. People often ask me because I'm really privileged. I get to go to Guadalcanal, Palau, Bikini, and Truk. So in the Pacific theater of World War II, I've seen a lot of the wrecks that are there. But when people ask me if there's only one place you could dive for the rest of your life, what would it be? I kind of have to say the answer would be Truk. And there's a lot of reasons for that. You could dive for 3 months every day and see something new on every dive. That's a good start. The conditions are really favorable. If you're diving a rebreather, you can get 2-hour run times in twice a day, but in the action. You're not spending all that time on deco. You're actually inside the wrecks because the average depth is quite shallow, which just makes it that much better. And yeah, just the cargo and the stuff that's on the ships. It's just an amazing place. Yeah, really friendly.
Amazing.
Yeah, sorry. So, this graph illustrates it quite well. A rule of thumb is that of the 50 vessels that are in Truk, 70% of them are accessible to recreational divers. So, anything here is 100 feet, here is like 130 feet, and here's deeper down to 200, right? So if you're an advanced open water diver with a deep certification, you can cover this entire range, which is 3/4 of the entire lagoon, which makes it really friendly. But what's also really cool about it is, when we're doing our Shearwater trip, right, we can do a custom itinerary. So obviously there's a big offering. You can't do everything in one trip. It's just not physically possible. But when we get everybody on board, we do the first Zoom meetings, we kind of try and gauge what people enjoy and what experience and training they have. And then we build a custom itinerary to match it, which I think is really cool.
I want the deep stuff. Anyway, so there's a lot of wrecks. What type of wrecks? What type of ships? What were you looking at there?
Well, I think we got a couple of wrecks coming up in a couple of slides that we can talk about. But can you maybe tell me a little bit about why Shearwater wanted to do this trip?
Absolutely. So the first thing is to partnership with a company that has a reputation just like yours. So Dirty Dozen is best in class. So Shearwater, as best in class, also wants to partner with the best there is. And your trips are amazing. Everyone loves them. So we wanted to be with you, number one. Of course, our idea is to connect with divers. We are a company of divers. We dive every week. We try to be there. But it's a good opportunity to listen to our customers, to listen to the divers, what they want, what the problems they're facing in the field, how can we improve our products and the way we do business. So feedback and insights for product development are important. And that's also to support divers out there. So we want to make better computers and service customers the best way we can.
I mean, I think that's super cool because when you're on that trip, if I have some feedback about the computer that I think could be better. I could talk to you, and that could be in a firmware update one day.
Exactly. You never know, right?
Yeah.
That's the idea, is to gather information, listen to what's plausible and doable, and then try to move forward inside the company.
Awesome. Yes.
What are your favorite wrecks, and can you give us some examples of what's...
Sure. Yeah. There's like a rolling joke when I'm in truck. People go like, "So, what's your favorite wreck?" And I can never really give a straight answer because there's so many really good ones. They're all my favorites. But I'm really gonna try and kill my babies here and narrow it down a little bit. The high-end Maru is really special. It's the largest wreck in the lagoon, 10,000 tons passenger cargo vessel, amazing engine room. I think it's about 120 meters, like 400 feet. And when I lived there for a year, I had this goal to go in at the bow and exit at the stern. And I think I managed to finish that goal like on my last week at work. There's a lot of good penetration in there.
How long?
God, hours. Yeah, but it was good.
Can we do it again?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, I mean the wrecks have changed now, so these are over 80-year-old wrecks, and the degradation curve is going upwards very much. So, the wrecks when I first started exploring them in 2017 are not the same as they are in 2025. That can be a bad thing, because obviously they're degrading, but it's also opening new routes of penetration, new rooms, stuff like that. So always evolving. But I would say, like, if you want to see truck, time is now. Fujikawa Maru, very famous wreck, if not the most famous probably in truck. If you watch that Jacques Cousteau episode, it's heavily featured in that. It kind of just has everything. Planes in the holds. There's huge, amazing bow gun. The masts are hanging over there. It's really beautiful. Amazing engine room. R2D2. The famous Bender air compressor is inside the engine room. All that good stuff. Yeah.
I love this dramatic, views and the penetrations and stuff. But a lot of people like, marine life. Is there anything special in there?
Sure. Getting to the Shinkoku Maru, which is actually an oil tanker. You don't kind of associate that with marine life and environment. But tell you what, the way where it's actually sunk in the lagoon, and I think how the currents are interacting with it, has just made this giant oil tanker into, a gigantic coral reef. The amount of different coral on this wreck is genuinely astonishing. And parts of the superstructure are kind of collapsing from the weight of the coral that's building on it right now. So it's highly regarded as one of the best night dives on the planet. So we like to do dusk dives there because this wreck really comes alive at night. Super, super cool. Yeah. Obviously, San Francisco. This is the one you would like to see.
Very famous on my bucket list for sure.
They call it the $1 million wreck. And, it just has everything. It's got tanks on the deck. It's got, trucks, bombs, hundreds of thousands of rounds of ammunition. Just, there's a lot. And it's just in the lore of wrecks of Truk Lagoon, it's one that everybody wants to do.
How pristine they are. I mean, in terms of, stuff to see, people didn't really take a lot, right? Everything is there.
Yeah, no, I feel like if you compare it to Scapa Flow or other concentrated wreck areas in the world, you'll see that like all the portholes and the props and all this stuff has been taken either by collectors or for money, because props are brass, they're worth a lot of money. But in truck, it's all there, which is super cool. And yeah, this wreck in particular, I think, has a lot of appeal because there's just so much on it. One of the best dives of my life, and I'm using that word very sparingly because I've had a lot of good ones, was on this wreck when somebody lost a $10,000 camera on it and somebody had to volunteer to go get it, you know. And that somebody had a hydro phone, like a hydro speaker with him, and plugged in his iPhone and put on Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. I found the camera in 2 minutes, but it was a 3-hour dive. It's good, really good. And then Aikoku Maru, the wreck that I just showed you, you know, on the stitched slide that blew up. Historically, I think it's really important. It's a really big hit of a wreck to see, and it's just astonishing to see 5,000 tons of steel gone, just not there, and then the other half is completely pristine. It really messes with your mind when you see it. It doesn't really make sense. But yeah, amazing wreck with some really good penetrations as well. Yeah.
It will look amazing.
Yeah,
I want to go.
And that's just 5 out of the 50, right? And I can go on and on like this. But yeah, I think that was Mark Powell. Like I said, you can be an open water diver diving in Truk, but you can also be a hardcore, you know, advanced wreck or full cave diver and find plenty of challenges in the lagoon too. So yeah.
So how do we prepare for these types of trips? So obviously this is a remote destination. There's things that need to be considered. The first thing is to be ready for the dives, right? So you don't want to be there and not enjoying. So get some dives in. Some people can't manage to dive frequently, so they need to get a program to get ready and be ready for whatever they plan to do there. So there's a lot of things to do. So get ready for what you plan. So you want to go recreational, train for recreational things. You want to do penetrations, practice a little bit. You put your skills up to a certain level so you don't miss anything and you have safety, right?
Yeah.
Number one.
And I feel like most people, what I hear a lot is like, Aron, I really want to go on your trips, but I'm just going to do these courses and stuff, and I'll just give me a couple of years. And whenever I hear that, I go like, oh dear, he's never going to go, or she's never going to go. And that's because people are chasing the dragon in terms of training, because they want to get everything before they go on a bucket list trip like this. But what I usually tell people is just don't think about it, just go. Because then otherwise you might never go. And it's better to see it once, maybe not with all the qualifications you would want, but then you can always plan another trip where you are like, okay, I've seen this, now I want to go again and see these wrecks with these qualifications. Because Truk is a destination I feel like you return to. It's not a one-off.
Yeah, and it's such a variety of wrecks. Even if you're not super qualified, you have amazing dives to be done, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So another thing is the equipment, of course. People tend to forget about equipment and remember it like 1 week before the trip. Bad idea. So service your equipment months before the trip, so you have the opportunity to test the equipment, to do a couple dives on it, make sure everything is up to date, right? So test, service, and bring some spare parts. And that's kind of tricky because it's a remote location. Not many things are available. Dirty Dozen does a good job to provide for some stuff, but they cannot cater to every type of diver, every type of rebreather and whatnot, right?
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes, we have 10 different units, rebreather units on a trip. And obviously we can't provide spares for everybody, but we start preparation a year before, at least, where people do a Zoom meeting, they get to know each other for an hour, and, oh, you're diving the same unit as me. Okay, maybe I'll take a spare scrubber. You can take a spare head and a spare handset, right?
Let's coordinate,
Yeah,
right?
let's coordinate. So it's all about teamwork and community on our trips and trying to make sure that we can tick all the boxes of things to do in order to get success, but together.
And of course, on the Shearwater trip, we'll make sure we have a lot of spares for rebreathers, for dive computers, O-rings, whatever. We'll do that for sure.
Yeah, and I think we got this concept we're kind of thinking about, which I'm super excited about. I think this started at Rebreather Forum or something like that.
Yeah, the idea started at Rebreather Forum of kind of having a generic controller, Rebreather controller, so one spare could fit many units, not all of them, because there's specific things. But we would like to start a pilot with Dirty Dozens because we trust you guys. We know you can't just start these things. So we're going to put that in place, and the trip will be a great opportunity to start that.
And it's so great because, it does happen a lot on our trips that either user error or simple accidents, people can cut their cables or the sensor goes, or maybe the battery compartment is not fully twisted. Handsets break, and being able to have that generic handset, I think, is a game changer. It's one of those things where a tour operator and a manufacturer can work together to support you in a better way. Because if that happens on your unit in a remote location and you don't have a spare, problem.
I would probably steal equipment from someone else.
Exactly. So we're trying to address this problem. Super excited about it. Hope we can launch the pilot program on this trip. So physiological prep. We always recommend people, whether you're on our trips or not, arrive like 2-3 days early in this destination and get some rest and hydrate and prepare for conservative profiles in the beginning. There's a saying that goes that, if you get bent in truck, it's usually in the first 3 days. And there's a reason for that. You've been traveling halfway around the world. You're dehydrated, tired. You're in an unfamiliar environment, on wrecks you don't know. And you've taken time away from work and your family. You spent a lot of money. This is once in a lifetime opportunity. So psychologically, you're inclined to push, and you want to push from the very get-go. And that's what gets a lot of people. I think just having that restraint and trusting us to ease you into it, and then we start pushing later in the trip is wise.
It's a 10-day trip.
Yeah, exactly.
There's time for everything.
And
Right?
Yeah,
you can, take easy on the first day and still have a bunch of days to do everything.
And that's kind of why we decided on like this longer itinerary with Shearwater, because usually these trips are like 7 days. So we can offer more wrecks, more custom itinerary, and also to be able to push harder on some of the real hits later in the trip with extra time. Yeah, other stuff.
So physiological preparation is also important. We are all different. We have to remember that dive computers are generic, right? They have a generic algorithm. We can change some stuff, so gradient factors, and we have to be responsible. So we are responsible for our own safety, and decompression safety is very important. So you need to use the tools that the computer provides and adjust it to your body, to your condition, to your diet, whatever, your current condition. So that's very important. So understand the decompression concepts, understand how your body is. It's quite important, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something, how I started diving gradient factors in 2008 versus how I do it today has changed a lot. Whether it's through learning, experience, but also I'm older. I'm almost 40 now. I've adjusted my diving a lot from 10 years ago. There's one thing I always recommend people when they're in bikini or truck is to have a good, healthy safety buffer. I can never tell you what gradient factors you should use, because that's not for me to decide. But a safety buffer, when you clock out on your deco, on the gradient factor that you set, to stay a bit longer and get that surface gradient down. Personally, I go down to 50, which means that I do like 15 minutes extra deco, is a great insurance policy. Because when you're in the middle of nowhere and, okay, medical help is there is a chamber in truck, but do you really want to get into the pot on a trip like this? You're in warm water, you got beautiful marine life and wrecks around you, 15 minutes extra on the last deco stop, it can make a big difference. So that's something I always recommend people. Yeah.
Absolutely, that's the way you should do it. That's a special, location. Take advantage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, dive computer maintenance. Well, first of all, plan ahead because things take time. A lot of times someone comes to us and say, hey, I want to send my computer because I have a trip next week. It's not going to work, guys. Sorry. We try our best, and we really do. But you have to plan. You have to do your part. So divers need to prepare in advance. Doing a general maintenance on a dive computer, it's a great idea. Send it to us or to our service centers. We have a look. We test, clean, change our rings, test depth sensor, do the whole thing. And if something comes up, you have time to service it, repair, and test before you dive. So also don't forget firmware updates. Sometimes it's a new feature, and sometimes it's something that it can change. It's a feature that it's important. So do your firmware updates regularly. It's easy. We have an app. The app will tell you what's the next firmware update, what's going on. Just connect the computer. Bring some spare parts. Of course, computers, they don't take too much, but batteries are super important. So in Truk Lagoon, you might not find the best battery for dive computers, like a good lithium battery. So bring extra batteries, bring O-rings. That's it. That's not too much. If you have and you coordinate with your team, bring an extra computer because things can happen. Things break. Even our computers break. It happens. It's just the way it is, right? And also, read the manuals so you know what you're looking at, right? It's like, it's quite important.
Fair play. So yeah, how do we support our team members when you join our trips? Like I said, when you're booking a trip of a lifetime like this, there's a lot of logistics to deal with, whether it's booking, the 2-3 flights you need to do to get to Micronesia. Where do I stay? What do I need to pack? There's a lot. And we've been doing this for quite some time. I mean, the company's 10 years old, but I've been in, trip logistics for 20 years. And we go there ourselves. The people behind the desk are actually in the field. So, you have an experienced team of exploration divers taking care of you from day one when you book and get onboarded until the very end when you're going home. We also set up our trips years in advance. So you're able to make, a small deposit in the beginning and have a sensible payment plan, because these are like bucket list trips. They can be expensive. It's good to spread them out over a couple of years. So that's something we do as well. And then, like we just talked about, all the pre-trip meetings, multiple Zoom meetings with all of us, the expedition leaders, and meeting all your team. We have group WhatsApps. We're obviously there in the field for you on site. And yeah, it's one of those things where you think you go on a trip with just some people, but they all end up becoming lifetime friends. They go on many trips together. And yeah, it's just a real community of wonderful people. And we would just love to have you join us. Yeah, one cool thing we're doing at the moment, I don't know if you know, but we do this thing called the Splash Checklist, and we have been doing it for, I think, 6 or 7 years. But we struck a collaboration with Dan Research recently. I think this talk also started at Rebreather Forum, but that's because, we were getting tens of thousands of data points with the Splash Checklist. You wouldn't believe how many closed O2 cylinders on rebreathers I've seen, or X, Y, and Z. A lot. Because if there's 16 divers on a trip for 10 days and they're doing 2 dives a day, it's hundreds of checks. And there are errors because people are in an unfamiliar environment. They are getting into a rhythm. We're human. We make mistakes. And in our organization, we have duty of care. We're there to take care of you. So when we do this 60-second check, it can really make a difference. And we've seen the efficacy of it. Dan Research is now collaborating with us. We have a digital version of it where we collect all the data. We send it to them. If you don't want to be a part of it, it's completely voluntary if you come with us. But it's just something that's really cool to be a part of. Hopefully Rebreather Forum 5 or whatever's next, we can present a big data set to you guys on the safety and efficacy of these lists. And we also provide free courses of human factors in diving with Gareth Locke, which I'm sure many of you know. The Essentials course is included in your trip price, so we give you the code as soon as you sign up. And yeah, join a team of divers with a like-minded team and philosophy.
Yeah, and for 2027 for the Shearwater trips, so it's actually 2 back-to-back trips.
Yeah.
We have a custom itinerary that we're going to design with Aron. So we're going to focus on specific things. The idea is, of course, for us to collect insights from our fellow divers, have ideas, feedback and stuff, and of course offer them something. So the idea is to run some workshops and presentations on the boat about rebreather electronics, dive computers, features, advanced features that our dive computers have. Some people don't really know because there's a lot to learn and to read and manuals and whatnot. So we got to offer that to the persons joining our trip. And of course, we'll have generic handset concept starting on the trip. We'll have spares, we'll have computers, we have the generic Rebreather handset going on, and many other things that I'm sure we'll have some ideas between now and the trip.
Exactly. So yeah, just to summarize, talking about Truk Lagoon, obviously a big war grave. 9 out of the 10 ships in the lagoon are merchant vessels, with 1 out of 10 being Navy vessels. Big difference. Average depth around 100 feet in Freedom units. For this trip, Advanced Nitrox TDI or Mod 1 CCR is a good place to start if you wanna sign up. And yeah, cost and travel time we talked about already. So just a little hint, you can go on our website. We have a knowledge base which we update all the time and have been doing for 10 years. There's tons of materials about Truk in there to, if you're a geek, to geek out about. Yeah, the hyperlink to the website is here. And then I think, yeah, we have a special for the show. I mean, Thanksgiving, Christmas is coming up, New Year's. It's an expensive couple of months we got coming up if you got families. So you can actually book on and commit to this trip now on the show. And then payments won't start until next year. We're on the booth 1371, just by Garmin over here. You can come see us, meet my manager, Jillian. She can sign you up, no worries. And if you don't see her and you still decide to do it, you can watch a cheesy 1-minute sales video on how to do it. All right, guys, thank you very much. If anybody has any questions, we're here to answer them. But yeah, really appreciate you coming. And thanks.
What would be the great differences between Truk and bikini?
The differences between Truk and bikini. Oh my God, that is a big question. I can't answer that in 5 minutes. I actually have a presentation about Truk and bikini and the differences of it. So if you go on Dirty Dozen Expeditions YouTube channel, I literally have a 50-minute presentation that talks to exactly that question. Yeah, no worries.